Big up, people. Rival Talk is back on 12th Man. Yet again, another weekend of fixtures passes us by and another one approaches. Football is on every day at the moment, it seems. You can't put on the TV screen at the moment without a football game being on, whether it's European football or the weekend. Some of us are happy with that. Some of us are not so happy with that, Rich. Do you know what I'm saying? But big up to you, my bro, for coming on. Big up to Rich, big up to Emilio, big up to Dor and Dave. We've got literally the pair of these Forest fans. Now they're winning, they come as a pair. Do you know what I'm saying?
Hey. Dan, stop with your digs. It's too early for the show, man. Stop with your digs.
Do you know what it is, Dor? I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you two, right? If you're in the top 6 come Christmas, I'll invite you on Race for Europe.
No, wait. If you beat Leicester, Dave goes on to Race to Europe. Don't stop after Christmas.
I desperately don't want to get ahead of myself. You know me.
No, Dave. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm trying to be smart after Christmas.
The only thing is, I think at every game at the moment, I kind of, Dave, I'm really sorry, man. I've got you going down this year. The words kind of keep coming back to me. You know what I mean? And our Lord and Master there, the Emperor of Potsland. He said it at the start of the season. I remember thinking, thank you, Daniel. That's very kind of you. And here we are.
Exactly. Dan, don't even try this after Christmas or after April, December, March. When we beat Leicester, I want to see Dan on a Europe show. So don't.
Do you know what? This is the same Door that said Fulham were going down 2 years ago.
I apologise, Emilio. I apologise.
Look, a couple of years ago, Dan, I was badgering you about getting me on the Champions League.
All I will say, yeah, if Dan Robinson can be on Big Brother, any one of us can be on anything.
I'll tell you what,
put it there.
That for me was crazy. I could not believe what I was seeing. I love Dan dearly, but my goodness.
He's a legend.
Going on to Big Brother Live or whatever it's called, Late Night Live, sitting in the audience and getting involved with who's been voted out. Wow, I never thought I'd see the day. Maybe he's that bored of Man United. He's obviously got that fed up with Man United that he's turned to Big Brother. No, that's how bad Man United have been. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, Rich, that's what you got to do. Get bored of Palace.
I'd rather get relegated.
Love that, man. Love that. Listen, people, do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You know how to do it by now. You know what YouTube's all about. Make sure if you do fancy a bit of Manscaped for Christmas, FTM20 is the code that you need. And you can get a nice shave like Dave's got. Look at that. Dave's not got any stubble. Do you know what I mean? Manscaped's where it's at. Big up to all of you for being on, man. Look, I suppose I was going to start with Palace, but I think it's best to start with Forest and Leicester this weekend because it's the Steve Cooper derby. And he returns. And if I'm honest with you, the way Forest are playing, I don't bet against them at the moment. I honestly believe you are the surprise package of this season. I thought that it might be too much for you. I weren't impressed with Nuno last year, but I have been this year. I will state I didn't want Forest going down.
Yes, hey, don't even try that, Dan.
No, my
prediction. See what I mean, Dave? He's trying to twist it now, but he wants this down, and now we're playing good.
No, I didn't want you down. Though. No, I didn't want you down. I'll tell you what I said. I said I fear for Nottingham Forest this season. I didn't want you down. I felt like Forest could have been in trouble. Yeah. If you want me to be honest, I want Spurs down and teams like that. That's what I want. But Forest, they're the surprise package, man. They're looking good. Chris Wood, Chris Wood. Do you know what I'm saying? He definitely would.
Yeah.
And he has been.
You started, Dave.
You got the wingers playing at their best, and Nuno's got you playing. You go, let's be real, Steve Cooper, you have a lot of respect for, and I understand why. I get it.
Absolutely.
Totally understand why. But I just fancy you against Leicester. I really do, Dave. At the weekend, it was good. It was. And at the moment, things are good at Forest, Dave.
They are, mate. They're. I think the thing is, Dan, you know, that opinion you had at the start of the season, mate, for which you'll probably you might get clips, you might not yet. There's a long way to go.
Dave, I'll find it. Don't worry about it.
But at the start of the season, mate, you know, I'm always quite. I don't just want to stick my head above the parapet and get it knocked off. But our lads at the moment are a treat. They're a pleasure to watch. They're a pleasure to support. It's a privilege to go and watch them. They work hard. They work hard for each other. They've got a great spirit. And, it's going well. I mean, Monday night, let's just go back to that one. It was a pretty even game, I thought. I thought it was sort of a bit Palace to start with, a bit us. Then Palace came back into it a bit, then us. But then as soon as that ball sat up and Woody hit it, and let's be honest, Dean should have stopped it. I think Forest were pretty good value for it after that. Even Palace did push us back towards the end and had quite a lot of the ball.
We didn't.
You never, but you never. Well, they had possession, but you never felt that Palace were going to do anything. Like Mateta came on and was a shadow of what he was at the end of last season. Eze got pushed deeper and deeper. Adam Wharton isn't playing at the moment. They look a bit frazzled, Palace, at the moment. I think there's a talented side in there, but with us, what you have to remember is we did that on Monday night. We had no James Ward-Prowse, we had no Morgan Gibbs-White, we had no Ibrahim Sangare, and we had there was another one missing. Danilo. Now those four, to miss those four, if we'd been missing those four last season, I think we'd have been in serious difficulties. But the guys who came in and I thought the three in midfield were absolutely magnificent in their different ways. Yates does his bit, making opposition hate him. Dominguez, I thought, had an outstanding game. He was my man of the match. They gave it to Anderson. They gave it to Anderson on the telly. And it's easy to see why they gave it to Anderson. He was beating men for fun. He beat 4 or 5 in one move early in the first half, and then ended up in the box beating 2 or 3. And he seemed to be everywhere. But I thought Dominguez was just terrific. He seemed to pop up whenever he was needed. The guys at the back, the record tells you only Liverpool have conceded fewer than we have this season. So that tells you that Nikola Milenkovic is still making me think that pound for pound, he might yet be the best signing made by any team this season, right? Because he's making Matt Sells has had his 2 best games for Nottingham Forest these last two weeks. The save from Eze from the free kick was world class. I thought the saves he made at Chelsea prior to that were fantastic. I just think Matt Sells is more confident with Milenkovic in front of him. Murillo is more confident with Milenkovic next to him. And then the guys in front, so if you like, Monday night, it was Yatesy, Elliot Anderson, Nicholas Dominguez. They get confidence off this guy. And then, towards the end, you bring Morato on, who's almost as big, if not bigger, than Milenkovic. I mean, I looked at Morato and Milenkovic the other night, and I was sat in the Trenton, and the two of them were on the field towards the end. And I thought to myself, I wouldn't like to be a resident in Nottingham who owed money, who was in debt, if those two were the bailiffs, because they are serious units, a pair of them. But the thing is, what I like about us is we've addressed those festering wounds from last year. And the worst one of the lot that everybody talked about, and it became a thing, was how our appalling vulnerability at set pieces. And touch wood, thus far this season, there's been none of that. And we're a nice little work in progress. That's the way I look at us. I mean, we don't score many, but you know what? The great team of the 70s very rarely scored many. And Clough always used to say, if we got one up in a game, we were really difficult. People would find it difficult to score against us. And he said, all good sides are built on clean sheets, the great one. And at the moment, Nuno's got our lads playing to that. It's almost like our lads want the clean sheet as much as they want to score. And, the elephant in Liverpool's room continues to be, they talk about Liverpool this, going into Arsenal. If Arteta's got his head on, he'll look at what, the body of work that was presented to Anfield by Nuno Espirito Santo when he outthought Arne Slot. And Arteta might want to look at that for some ideas as to how to stop Liverpool this week. So, yeah, at the moment, Dan, it's really good to be a Forest fan. It can all change in a week or a couple of weeks. I'm aware of that because life goes up and it goes down. But going into, tomorrow night's a really interesting game because they just come off 2 really good wins. They're finding a little bit of form, so they'll be in a good moment. But so are we, you know what I mean? So we'll see what goes on. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. Oh, and interestingly, on the subject of Steve Cooper, I found his press conference fascinating. he didn't want to talk about Nottingham Forest. Every time he was prompted with a question about Nottingham Forest, Steve deflected it and he said, I want to talk about Leicester City. Now, I don't know whether that makes me think that it's on Steve's mind or not, but for me, the fascinating thing, and Dora will be thinking this as well, is when we go into the King Power tomorrow night in that away section, what do our lot, what is their reaction to Steve Cooper? I think there'll be polite applause. I don't think there'll be anything more than that. But the truth of the matter is, I just want to beat Leicester City tomorrow night. Business, we've got to take care of business is business. Steve Cooper did an amazing job for us, but he isn't our manager anymore, so he's not my concern. My concern is Nuno Espirito Santo and our terrific little squad of players who are doing such a good job at the moment.
Yeah, agreed, man. Listen, Dora, it's at the King Power. It's actually a tough place to go. I think it's a really nice stadium. It's never easy. I do have you down as favourites to win this just because of how you're playing. But Leicester, to be fair to them, when they do want to play football, they can play football. Man. They really can. So don't think this will be an easy one, but I do fancy you for the win. I've got to say, like, I looked at your lineup, excuse me, against Forest, and I like some of Palace's players. I know we're going to talk on Palace in a bit, and I think that Palace have got some qualities still in their team, although they're going through a rough patch. But I look at their bench, and I even think like you've got some players to bring on now. This Forest is actually fairly fairly decent squad with a Wonyi still on there. I've always been a fan of Williams. Toffolo has had a good couple of games from last season that when I was watching Forest. We know about Willy Bowley, Morato, Sosa, Jota Silva.
Yeah.
I look at it and I think actually it's a good squad, man, and that's with the 4 players that Dave said they were out.
You know what it is, because last 2 seasons, when me and Dave go to every game, we look at the bench and we can, who's going to be that person that's going to change the game? And from the last 2 seasons to now, you mentioned the players like we can mention Jota Silva, because I said before the Crystal Palace game, I want him on the bench. Because when he comes on, he's a massive impact. And when he did come on, and which he knew, he made that difference because he knows how to get the crowd going, little passes, he likes to do little fouls. That's what we want. And we've got players, like I said, Tower Ronnie's not been playing as much, but he still comes. We've got Chris Wallace going goals for fun. Me and Dave be like, where's this fun come from? But you mentioned, we've got Sosa, we've got Toffolo, we've got experienced players like Bolle, Morata. We've not had this before. And we're going to Leicester and thinking to yes, we've got players like Ward-Prowse coming back. We did about more Gibbs-White. But who's going to come off who's going to be dropped from the bench? Because it's just like, yes, we are 8th in the league, and and it's good to be like this. And Dave mentioned it. I don't want to be like, okay, we're going to get top 4. It's too early for them days. But right now, we've got a good team, we've got a strong bench. You know, especially with the back 4, I don't think we'll be changing that because, as Dave knows, last season again we keep chopping and changing, especially the back 4 with Maricolo and Murillo. Them two just, I said, one of the top 5 in the Premier League. I'd say top 3. If I'm honest, I'll be biased because I'm a Forest fan, but. We've got like backup like Bolle, he's still a great defender. Morata, Amabama, good defender. And it's just the depth that we've got now. Nuno said he likes a young team of 25.
Basically, what it is, Ben, lads, there's less personnel because it was bloated for the last 2 years. Because goodness me, we signed 20,000 or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, which is a joke. But Nuno said, in like you say, Dan, when things weren't fantastic, he had that bright start at Christmas last year when we beat United and we beat Newcastle over Christmas, and then it kind of just flattened out a bit. But all the way through, Nuno was saying the squad is too big, it's too bloated. Yeah. And what I really like about us now, and Door's absolutely right, our bench is as solid as you like at the moment, but there's less personnel, but there's more options. It's almost like a bizarre,
with those players out, Dave, as well, like with those injuries, they come back into it. Forest have got a squad, man.
That's the thing. And like we mentioned Morata, he's not started yet, but every time he comes on, it shows that defense. And he's not getting a big match because since every time he comes on, we don't lose. And when we sign him, I'm like this, where's he going to start? Because I thought Nuno would go back to that 3 because when he was at Wolves, but he stuck to the back 4, and it's just like I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're playing fantastic. Nuno is just he's getting things right. Like they mentioned it. At the end of last season, we wasn't playing great. Like we beat Burnley, we beat Sheffield, so on. But right now, we're doing great. We've got a massive game tomorrow. And the thing with Steve Cooper, I don't care what anyone says. I always love Steve Cooper.
Me too.
But when 90 minutes comes up, I don't care. I want to win.
You can't have that sentimental thing.
This is the thing.
No.
And you mentioned it, Dan, like you think we're favorites to beat these. Dave will know. And remember the time we lost 4-0 at that place.
Yeah.
And
the last time we went there was a watershed, because I think that thumping that we had that night at Leicester, and it was a proper battering. It was 4, but it could have been double figures. We were appalling, and Leicester were really good. And it was a watershed because after that game, Steve Cooper decided we're not going to play as open as we did in the Championship because this will crucify us. You know, a lesson that Vincent Kompany could have learned at Burnley, and Russell Martin might do well to learn now because they're playing so open. But I think, you know, the way I look at us is that, if you like, the spine seems quite good. So Sells, Milenkovic, Yates, again written off by everybody, but still
even the panel. Even I know the panel hate Yates as well. So I know Emilio hates Yates as well because
Woody up front, Chris Wood, to my way of thinking, the only true traditional centre forward in the Premier League at the moment. And a consummate professional. He travelled to New Zealand last week to play a World Cup qualifier, scored. And then he travelled somewhere else in Asia to play a World Cup qualifier, scored. He comes back on Monday night. His fitness is incredible. He scored. So the spine is good. Around that, Elliot Anderson can be maybe a Morgan Gibbs-White replacement if Morgan goes at the end of the season, in the same way that maybe Morato is a replacement if, say, Murillo goes, because those are the players that people covet. And then around it, I've got to give mention to the fullbacks. Ola Aina cost nothing, right? I think he was at Fulham. He come from Torino for nothing. Alex Moreno out with the washing at Villa, playing well. And Callum Hudson-Odoi on a retrieval mission. Anthony Elanga, same. Ramon Sousa, kind of untried quality. Jota Silva, Portugal Grealish. I mean, every time that little bugger gets on the field, something happens, like Dorset. So we're in a nice frame of mind. But the thing is, we're saying this now, 24 hours down the line tomorrow night. If Leicester have a good night, then everything changes again. And this is the thing for Rich and Palace. Like you say, Dan, there's enough quality in that. So I think at the moment, and I'm not being harsh on the others, but I think of the 4 that are in a little bit detached at the bottom, I think Palace are by far the best of that 4. I think Palace are better than Ipswich, better than Wolves, certainly better than Southampton. So I look at them. I don't think Glaston's far away from getting it right, but the trouble is, time moves on. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're all right at the moment.
Can I say something about Monday's game? And I was on Rich's show on was it Sunday, and Will Hughes. I despise the guy, but I don't understand why he went off, because I thought he was kept moving the ball, blah blah blah. And when he went off, I think to himself, "Hey, what's going on here?" And that's why Palace lost it then for me, because it was him. Eze as well. Eze was fantastic for me, and so I made 2 great saves. But yeah, I'd love to know which thoughts about
without
it.
talking about
the reason behind that was Lerma picked up the early yellow, so Hughes ended up doing a lot more than he should have.
Yeah,
you know, and him coming off literally changed everything for us, to be honest. So
yeah.
The deficit, Rich, the deficit I felt, mate, when I was looking at your side the other night is, I looked at Milenkovic, and then I looked at where Joachim Andersen used to be for Palace. And Joachim Andersen was your Milenkovic, right?
Yes.
And I think Joachim Andersen going to be, you know, Emilio's nephew now has certainly not. I think he's a bigger miss for you than Michael Olise is, mate. And I think, you know, Gurhi's obviously a quality player, but I just think Andersen at the back. I remember we went there last year. And we played Palace in a 0-0 draw, and Palace's injury list at the time was horrendous. And we felt that we could get something, but it founded on that combination of Joachim Anderson and Mark Gurhey at the back. And I think Anderson, if you can replace Anderson, that will help. But at the moment, I think you're missing him, mate.
Just on that, Michael Elise is a far bigger loss. I'll tell you that. Maxence Lacroix has come in and he's been brilliant. He has been brilliant. I think the biggest issue for us is the system. It's been found out. And we don't press anymore, which was something that we were doing really well towards the back end of last season. And we're getting bypassed our midfield really easily and stuff. And with no Wharton and Decore as well, it's not easy. And I think we were even screaming at Glasner to change the system before the Forest game because we thought, right, you've got two wingers who are very direct, but then you've also got two fullbacks who are very direct. So you're going to need an extra body in midfield. You know, they showed a heat map of not a heat map, but average position. Actually, Kamada was one of our deepest midfielders, and he's meant to be one of our progressive 10, which just shows that everything around the team is just not working. And I felt sorry for Eddie because we couldn't play the ball through the lines really well, apart from Lacroix. So then we're looking long balls up, expecting him to hold it up against the most informed centre back partnership.
That's what is it, and that's what I'm trying to say, Richard. Because every single time you're doing long balls, ask himself, you know what? You're not beating Milikovic. Murillo,
it's not happening.
Well, Milikovic, I'm like, what Palace doing every time he's crossing the ball? Not a chance.
The only joy we got, and it's unfortunate, is when we did get beyond your midfield.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Eze and Nketiah had to then run with the ball from 40 yards deep.
Yes.
And then get a shot off.
Yes.
You can't win games of football in that manner. The times we did get it wide for Munoz especially, as opposed to Mitchell, because Mitchell was horrible. And don't get me wrong, Munoz was poor as well. But Munoz will get the ball and had no support. Will Hughes would have to then track across to the right-hand side to just be an option. Whereas when it got to Mitchell, who did have support, his first thought was passed back to Mark Gahey. It's a problem. We've got to change the system. Otherwise, we're just going to keep in a rut. And I know you mentioned that Glasner could turn it around. I believe he could turn it around as well. But if he persists with this formation, he's got into the Wolves game. Because I think he'll get dropped.
Yeah. The Wolves game is hove into view, Rich, to be a bit of it's a 6-pointer, you know what I mean? For sure. Is it at Molineux or is it at Selhurst?
It's at Molineux.
And actually, I watched Wolves last Sunday, and they were out past. And I don't mean to be a heretic or say anything blasphemous, but this passing, I got a bit bored. I hope I don't mind, people don't mind me saying it, but I'd like to see when Gvardiol actually had a shot instead of all this passing often for the sake of passing, he scored a goal, But I like Wolves' digging in mentality. So it'd be a good game. That Wolves Palace game will be a good game. But I mean, I find it really interesting, Rich, and you're dead right about our wingers and our fullbacks. They're all quite progressive and they all like getting forward. But I'm sure I heard somewhere this week a statistical thing that said of all the 20 in the Premier League, Forest are the narrowest team of the 20, which is a bit bizarre when you think of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga and Sousa and Jota Silva, and then obviously Nico Williams, Ola Aina, Alex Moreno. You know what I mean? So
but what is Dave? It's because they're playing their part. Yeah. They're all playing their part. It's a well-functioning machine, and I want to focus more so on your fullbacks because this is something we struggled with for a long time. Don't get me wrong, Munoz and Mitchell are good in their own right, but if there's no support, what's the point? But Aina running up the line with the ball causes a problem. Same with Moreno, you know, and it's something we struggled with because both Eze and Kamada aren't the greatest running the other way. Hence why I think a formation change. I mean, I don't know what you thought of our youngster Agbinone. He was only on for 7 minutes.
He looked sharp.
He was positive.
Yeah.
He looked sharp,
He was positive. And that is why I'm saying, with a formation change, maybe even just give him a go. Because what we need is just players just running at fullbacks, and we don't have that.
Rich, it's a case of a manager needing to have the confidence in a young player. I mean, the guy to my left on the screen, they're all arguing about Nwaneri. And Palace will be thinking about Agbinoni. I thought when he came on, I was like, blimey, he looks a sharp customer. He looked quite nippy, you know what I mean? So it's up to Glasner to think, old enough, good enough is old enough.
Yeah.
Like I've watched 2 or 3 Arsenal ones this weekend, not because I'm jumping on their burning carcass from Bournemouth, but the Nwaneri thing seems to be, it seems to be a thing with Arsenal. And if Arteta must surely have learned something from the Bolton game.
Dave,
it was there for the whole world to see.
Dave, don't worry. We've got Arsenal soon, so don't worry. We'll come for Dan soon. We'll come for Dan soon.
And actually, just on the fixtures coming up for us, I mean, after tomorrow night, our November is 3 at home and 1 away. So we play Leicester tomorrow night, then we go West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Arsenal away, Ipswich at home. So the Arsenal game's going to be a mountain to climb, clearly.
Hey, come on, man. Stop it, man.
But you have to be realistic, though.
No, we all did. Right. Remember when we did, right? Because when we played Chelsea away, Dave was like this. Oh, we're going to get battered. And I'm like, no, Dave, have this confidence. Have this little confidence.
Dave.
No, Dave. Listen, stop.
Shushing now, Dor. Uncle David's talking.
Dor is the positive one. Dave's the one that keeps his feet on.
No.
The thing is, I always like to be pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
I came out with a feeling of just joy at that. And I'll tell you something about Forest. I mentioned
Liverpool
it last
Chelsea,
week.
Man.
That's what I'm trying to say, Dave. No. I understand what Dave's trying to say. I fully understand what they're trying to say. We're like, yes, we beat Liverpool easy. We're drawing Chelsea. We're drawing Brighton as well. We've got Arsenal, and Arsenal just beat Leicester and Southampton.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Who did you lose to, Dor? Who did you lose to?
I can't remember that.
Now, actually, bring in Emilio in. If we're the elephant in Liverpool's room, Emilio is the elephant in Forest's room.
Yes, exactly. Come on, let's hear Emilio. Come on, I've had enough of my voice.
That was mad, right? What's mad?
Fulham must be a good side.
I actually had this weekend, was obviously Arsenal were ruined. My weekend was ruined by Arsenal, but my weekend was also ruined because I had not serious money, but good money coming back. And I stupidly bet on Fulham to beat Villa because I really fancied them at Craven Cottage. And they let me down massively. So not only did Arsenal lose, I also lost some money because Fulham didn't bloody win. So I was like, for God's sake. And I've actually... If I'm honest, this season I've kind of respected Fulham and Forest at the moment, and Brighton. I still put Brighton up there because I think they're a good side.
Good team.
As being the guys to float around the top half.
Sorry, Dad. Just before you move on to Amelia, I did want to say quickly, Matt Sells was sensational, by the way. I have to give credit where credit's due. He was incredible. And you fully deserve your win. That's all. I'm done.
And the thing was, Rich, gentleman as you always are, mate. That's much appreciated. Sells was fantastic. I thought he was even better at Chelsea, and it was good for him because there've been a few doubters about him. I mean, Chelsea again. Might turn a bit. To me, the watershed of our season, if you like, I thought the brawl at Chelsea was. I know it's a really rum thing to say, but the brawl at Chelsea was really, really good because £1 billion worth of investment felt that they were like slighted, and Forest went and met it head on. Cole Palmer didn't care about his teammates. He sat down. Every single Forest player basically said at Chelsea when that Nico Williams, Cucurella, Maresca thing happened, you pick on Nico Williams, you pick on all of us. And Forest acted like a family. And I think that might be the thing that Nuno has got at the moment. And actually, if you think Monday night, Nuno was up in the tinted windowed box at the top of the Peter Taylor. And yet it seemed like Rui Pedro, who was on the touchline, I must admit, I kind of thought to myself, it was as if Nuno was still there. So the whole thing at the moment with Forest, there's joined up thinking, and it just seems as if the whole thing is joined up. There's a hell of a long way to go, but so far, so good.
Just have a little confidence about Arsenal. We're not good away form.
Go into every game optimistic. That's what we'll say.
And I know we're a month shy of it, but Arsenal have got some injury issues. Arsenal are going to be, Arsenal have got some tough fixtures coming up, and they might get to us, and they might just, because I think there are bigger fixtures for Arsenal, no disrespect, but they might take their eye off us. Leicester showed, Nuno might look at what Leicester did at the Emirates. You know what I mean? Southampton for a while at the Emirates.
Because I said, did Arsenal score 2 goals in the last 90 minutes against Leicester?
Against Leicester, yeah, they did. Yeah,
yes, scored against Southampton as well. We could be at a surprise package. People might thinking, Forest playing fantastic, but these big 4 teams were thinking, we'll beat these teams. Listen, Forest are going to every away game feeling that little bit of confidence, like me and Dave. That little bit of confidence, we'll get a point. If we get 3 points, fantastic. But listen, like Dave said, there's a long way to go. Me and Dave on with high, very confidence. But let's go away tomorrow. They're next up.
Yeah, they are, man. One game at a time. Let's see how we do. But Nuno certainly rolling back the Wolves years, in my opinion, as opposed to what he did.
Well said, Dan.
That's for sure.
Well said, man.
So we'll see, man. Before I come to Emilio, because I wanted to touch on Fulham as well. Rich, Yusuf wants to know if Glasner's on thin ice. What's your thoughts on this realistically? Like in terms of if you see the games going the way you expect it to, is Glasner going to be okay? Do you think the fans on board back him now, or is it going to get to kind of thin ice for him in the next few weeks?
Well, there's reports saying that he's got the next international break to turn things around, which means that Spurs at home, Wolves away, Fulham at home. Those are 3 games. The thing is, with the fan base, look, we know exactly what's going to happen. If we do get rid of him, it's going to be a Moyes, Potter, or Southgate that are going to be in the running. So we're kind of now torn in the sense of, do we just try and ride this out as long as we can? But at the same time, of those 3 managers mentioned, like, you can't really disrespect Moyes. He's a European winner. And I think Potter is like, we'll see. Everyone's like, Southgate, no. Like, that's just blanket, no, thank you. I think we'll give Glasner the benefit of the doubt if he changes his formation. If these next 3 games he persists with the 3-4-2-1, which is not working, I think it'll just be a blanket. He's got to go. Because now he's being stubborn. So, yeah, we'll see.
Look, I think that he's actually not a bad manager. I think it's gone a little bit wrong for him. I get that. I understand it. I think out of the managers you're linked with, I think Potter and Moyes actually are fairly respectable.
They're the better 2, yeah.
Yeah. And I know it'll be mad for D. D will be absolutely in the mud if he gets anybody. But basically, right, D has got to sit there and say, we got the old Brighton manager, the old West Ham manager, or the England manager that I can't stand. Like, D's absolutely in the mud, man, I tell you. Like,
will he have the moral? Will he have the moral courage to deal with it? Because I haven't seen him for ages. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess as soon as Palace, say if Palace beat Tottenham at the weekend, he'll be everywhere. He'll be like dog monk. You know what I mean? He'll go viral. You know
He's not panicking, man. He's not panicking, and he is deep down, but he's just not panicking. You know what I mean? Geezer had to come and sit in a West Ham show on my last stream because he lost a bet.
Saw it.
Yeah, I see that. I was thinking, why is he wearing a West Ham top? I thought, I bet it's Lawless again.
I thought he got a Burnley top on.
Just last bit on Glasner. Don't rule out the fact that he may walk, because he was very vocal about the fact that the transfer window was terrible.
It was. It was.
Signing 4 players on deadline day, that's 4 games in already. Bear in mind, we had 7 players make international finals. It was the worst. And I don't want to make an excuse now, because he should have turned it around now. But at the start of the season, it was a big problem, and he weren't happy. So,
can you believe that Arsenal actually had Eddie Nketiah for 4 or 5 years up front? That was actually one of their strikers for a while. This guy cannot score. Sorry, man. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. He
was unlucky on Monday. He was very unlucky.
You know what, Richard? I wanted him. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted him because he's a different type of player to Wood and Tyrell Ronnie. Yeah. But
that's the thing that's benefiting us. Like, as long as he plays up front and not on this wide
on the right. Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. We've got 2 options in Mateta, hold up play, or Mateta, Nketiah in behind. But anyway, move on, please.
Rich, Rich, you've dealt with it under pressure very well there, mate. Well done.
I've tried.
Rich said, me and David we could have thought, oh, let's cook him. We thought, nah, we'll leave you alone because it's me and David.
No, but I did say we'll lose it anyway, so.
Let me tell you about this guy, Dor, right? When I had to do the forfeit at the end of last season, and quite rightly, I remember him saying, this is the gentleman, Rich Ampensar, he goes, we like you that much, Dave. We're not going to get you to sing a Derby County song. And I just thought it was one of the kindest things that ever been done to me, mate. You know what I mean?
Rich, yeah. You never ever see me singing a Derby song. So don't even bother anyone. Never.
That ain't never happening. Look, Emilio, obviously I weren't too happy at the weekend with Arsenal. Lost some money. I don't know why I fancied Fulham, but I really fancied Fulham, like to win at Craven Cottage against Villa. I've been impressed with Fulham this season. I haven't been impressed with you in the final third, I can't lie. I feel like there's a striker missing big time, man. But you can get the ball to the penalty area, but you got no one to finish it off. And that's no disrespect to Jimenez and Muniz and Adama Traore, but kind of feel like there's clearly an issue there with goal scoring. If Fulham had a striker like a killer, and I'm not even talking like a Haaland, right? I'm talking like a respectable striker that you look at and you think, oh, I fancy him. I honestly think Fulham could be like the surprise package this season because they've kind of got everything else. I just don't think they've got that killer, and I just think that could let you down, man. But what happened at the weekend, bro?
Yeah, and that was going to be my point, basically. He said, Jimenez in rich vein of form, he's looking the model professional. It reminds me of Chris Wood, Dave. I think it's sort of similar type of player, intelligent on the ball. They finished on the weekend with very similar finishes from both players. But I saw a statistic like Villa, they score one every 2 or 3 chances. Fulham score a goal every 4 or 5 chances. So that highlights the point. We're creating a lot of chances, plays in the wrong positions. We're not testing a keeper enough. We're fluffing the ball. Great save. Look at all the games that we've not won or not, Man United beginning the season. We should have got something at Old Trafford. 88 minutes we hang on. Got sucker punched right at the death. That was a point and dropped. West Ham, the most dominant 1-0 lead for 95 minutes. Then scored a second goal. What's his name? Their old striker, I remember now. He's played at Liverpool. Scored the equaliser for West Ham with the first touch of the game. Scored a goal, 1-1.
Danny Ings.
Yeah, Danny Ings. 2 points dropped there. Man City away, 1-0 up. Should have been 2. Could have even been 3.
Should have won
3-2 defeat. Didn't take the goal. Didn't take the chances. And Villa was the same on Saturday. We went off very positively. Great goal from Jimenez. An assist from Bernd Leno. 1-0 after 5 minutes. Jimenez should have scored a second. He said, "Okay, fair enough. Right, we're in a good attacking start. Looking positive. We're going to create more chances." Then it was an own goal. Okay, 1-1, back to parity. We got a penalty. Most shocking, shittest penalty I've ever seen in the whole world. But let's not go down there. But look, could have been 2. Should have been 2-1. You take the lead. We don't lose that game. We go to halftime, 1-1. I thought we were level pegging with Aston Villa. I thought this is a team that I think they're getting a bit too much kudos. I know Billy won't like me saying this, but I know they're top of the table in this European Champions League group, or this tournament, however it works. They're a good team. They beat Bayern Munich. There's no disrespect to lose to Aston Villa, but I thought they're getting a bit carried, a bit like Newcastle fans, getting a bit too carried away for their own good. But that's for them to worry about. But I thought 1-1 half time in the game. Let's continue the second half similarly. And they scored a good goal from a set piece. But at that point, we were still in it, a goal difference. But you have a player sent off, and it was a sending off. It was a red card. No qualms about that. Game over. And then we scored an own goal straight after. So look, with a game where we've had an own goal, a sending off, and a missed penalty. That's a record. No Premier League team has ever achieved that in the same game. That combination of sending off, own goal, and missed penalty. So it's one of those funny games. Don't think 3-1 was flattering to Villa because they had 25 minutes with an extra man. Game over at that point. But overall, up to that sending off, we were neck and neck with them, 2-1 down. But we were making them suffer. We were giving them problems, and we had a good bench. To your point, Dave and Dor, your bench is strong and capable, and we had a decent bench out there as well. I don't think we maybe applied our substitutes as timely as we would have liked. The usual, that's Marco Silva likes to make his subs late, maybe a little bit too late for my own liking. But overall, I'm not despondent. I thought it's no disgrace to lose to Villa, but the nature of the game, 2 own goals, penalty miss, 2 sendings off. It had a bit of everything in that game. So, but Fulham fans generally were up in arms, and I don't understand why. It's the negativity, the criticism certain players. Andreas Pereira actually got booed as a tongue-in-cheek for being applauded being substitute. That's not good enough. Any Fulham fans who booed him off the pitch as a way of applauding him off the pitch should be ashamed of themselves. You know, he's a very important player for us.
What is all that about? That's bizarre.
It's bizarre. It's ridiculous. There was a large contingent of fans, literally in the home end, who literally booed at the point he got substituted. But that was just tongue-in-cheek to say, look, get off the pitch. You're not good enough. But we're lucky to have him. He scored for Brazil in the international. Looking, you know, the part playing for his national team. He's an important player. He sits in this. It's a bit like Marmite. You love him or you hate him. But we're lucky to have him. And I think Fulham fans get real. Just remember where we've come from. You know, losing to Villa is no disgrace. But the thing that I do want to call out is Smith Rowe down. He had a shocker on Saturday. And I don't know what's going on there. I don't, you know, I did a Fulham show the other night, and you know, some of our former players were on that show, and you know, they were very critical of his performance and his attitude. He looked lackluster, disinterested. His body language was very poor. Something's not quite right there. He's not hitting the peaks. He blows hot and cold. Some days he could be outstanding. Other days, he's not hitting the mark. He seems to be just not lacking.
Don't worry, Emilio. Give it a couple of weeks. He'll get a hat-trick against us.
The thing is, and I've heard from a reliable source that it must have been before the West Ham game. I think it must have been after the Ipswich game. Apparently, Marco Silva had a gentle word in his ear to say, "Look, you do realise you're the most expensive signing of this club. You've got to start doing more. Sort out your fitness." Had a gentle word. For the subsequent 2 games, he was outstanding against West Ham and Newcastle. But since then, again, not setting the world alight.
Played well against us, Emilio. I watched him that day. I watched him that day when I thought Fulham were just about deserved to win, and it was, you know, probably a fair result, 1-0 to Fulham. And I looked at him and I thought he was the guy that propelled Fulham up the field in transition. And I thought he was having a good game. And I'm kind of thinking, and your point, mate, is some of us sometimes we need to kind of wake up and smell the coffee and think how lucky we are. You know, I am at pains. I'm at pains when I see my red-shirted lads go out. I look at all of them, and I've been saying this to a lot of people around the City Ground. Dor knows this. I am lucky to support a really good, decent bunch of young men, decent people, right? And I look at Fulham and I think they're the same. In fact, at the moment, what's nice for us, me and Dor, is for us actually to be mentioned in the same sort of echelon as your Fulhams and your Brighton. That is a sign of our progress, mate. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
I agree.
You know,
I agree. And I think, you know, we're all playing like Villa, Fulham. You know, we always expected to be an open game, good for the neutrals. You know, good 2 teams who like to play the ball around. And the game didn't disappoint, but there's certain players, you know, we can be critical. The fact that we can be critical is because maybe expectations are slightly higher than they have been. And
Can I say something about Fulham, like Miller? Because like I said, when you came to his lot, and I thought you lot played good, and you mentioned Smith Rowe as well. Yes, you lost to Villa, you lost to Man U, but I still feel you're going to be a mid-table team.
Yeah, I think so. Exactly.
Push on a little bit. I think you're going to be like I don't want to say Fulham are way above us. If you look at, because they've been up and down in the Premier League, but I still feel that the next win again on the weekend, you're still going to be a good side.
Exactly, and I think I was quite positive after that defeat. You know, but the uproar amongst the many fans and that boom of Pereira going off, this is disgraceful, really. So I wasn't disappointed.
The Manchester City game to me was the game that said to me, "Blimey, Fulham are really good."
Exactly.
You know, but for Adama's finishing, they'd have beaten supposedly the best team in the world on their own ground, and they would have been good value for it. They were superb at Manchester City.
We just need that striker. We need a Mitrovic. I know he'll never come back, obviously, but if we had him 18 months ago, Mitrovic now, to your point, Dan, we'd be those those games where we didn't pick up any drop points, we would have had 4 or 5 points more on the board.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for Champions League place. That's all we're missing. We're missing that striker.
I agree. And I think there's strikers out there that you could get in January. And if you did, and it was the right one, I think Fulham could surprise. But look, you're in a good position. You've got Everton at the weekend, Emilio. Do you think you'll get, let's go to some predictions?
Yeah, we've been consistent against Everton the last couple of seasons, so we've got a good record there. It was this up to a few seasons ago, in the first phase of the Premier League, when we were there for 13 consecutive years. There was a record. I think it was 8 or 9 seasons in a row where Everton always won the corresponding home game against us, and we beat Everton against them at home at Craven Cottage. 9 home wins on both sides. A very strange record, but we never used to get anything at Goodison Park, but we've started to get some victories now. I fancy us on Saturday. I think he'll make a couple changes. Whether Pereira might be rested, don't be surprised Smith Rowe might be rested. This is going to be a physical game. We know how aggressive Shoutout likes to play. They've got 2 back-to-back victories, so it won't be easy.
Yeah.
They're not as bad as they were, say, a month or so ago. But if you want to aspire to be a top 10 team and stay consistently top 10, you've got to go to Goodison Park and target a win. So I see a couple changes, especially midfield. Midfield, we looked a little bit lightweight on Saturday. Pereira's, Sander Berger, who was appalling on Saturday, a very poor full debut for him. I didn't like what I saw there, and Smith Rowe had a very quiet game, looked disinterested. But that's all credit to Villa as well. They tactically, pulled Traore out of the mix. They gave him no space. They marked Traore out of the game, and Smith Rowe didn't really get much of a looking. So there'll be a couple of tactical substitutions and changes, but I fancy us to go to Goodison Park and win by the 1 goal, 2-1, 1-0. I'm fairly positive.
Yeah, I fancy you. I actually fancy you to win 2-0. I just don't rate Everton. I'm afraid. I just don't. I don't look at them and think, wow. I just don't. I think they could be in trouble this season. I really do. Rich, you got Spurs. I'll go 1-1. Come on, Palace. What are you telling me?
I'll take a 1-1. We're not winning this game. If we have a formation change, we give us a shot, because I think with Spurs, them running towards their own goal, they're not the best. I need to kind of do that a lot because of their high line. And I've noticed a lot of cutbacks they concede from as well, and also set pieces, which we're not great at. So, yeah, I'm going to go, unfortunately, Spurs win about 3-1, I'll say.
Interesting, man. I think you could get something. You just got to turn up, man. It's just Palace. It's not what they're going to do at the moment. They can't get another loss, surely. Like, it's got to turn around sooner or later. Do you know what I mean? But we'll see. Yeah, I can see you getting something out of that, because I just think you have to. I think Glasner's under pressure now. But Spurs, you can get at them, man. You can get at Spurs. They Ange plays one way, so you can get at them. So let's see what happens, man. Leicester Forest. I've got Forest winning this one. I'm going to go 3-1 Forest. Thor, what are you telling me?
3, that's a bit much in it. David, a bit much in it. 3 goals. Yeah,
I love his confidence.
Last
when
time
you get the box confidence.
Was it Burnley? Scored 3 goals.
Sheffield United. We beat Sheffield United 3-1, didn't we?
I think with this game, like I said, Leicester, they'll be up for it, because they're circle rivals, as they say it. But I said it's going to be a big, high-scoring game, but I just don't. I don't think. I think it's going to be 1-0, 1-0 Forest. Yeah, it's going to be one of them games, because it's going to be a battle. Leicester, they'll be up for it as well. They've won back-to-back wins. Leicester have done now, so I think it's going to be 1-0 Forest, because they beat Southampton, they beat Bournemouth. So I'm going for 1-0, Dave. 1-0.
Yeah, it was the manner of how they beat Southampton. It was where they were after an appalling first 20 minutes or whatever against, no disrespect, and I feel for Liam because he's such a good kid, but Southampton are clearly the weakest team in this division, right? And where Leicester were after 20 minutes to then find a way speaks a lot for Leicester City.
Yeah.
And I tell you something, I was... Because we didn't play till the Monday night, I was at home Saturday afternoon, sort of alternating between Ascot and Gillette Soccer Saturday, and they were at St Mary's when that corner at the end of injury time was being taken. Mark McAdam was the reporter, and I knew Leicester were going to score. So for them to come from where they were to where they ended up, it's going to put them in a really good frame of mind, right? Yeah. And all of the predictions I've seen have been draw, and I think draw. I don't think there'll be many. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw, and I think basically it'll be Leicester. I think Leicester will come out strong. Forest might have to just contain them to start with, and then grow into the game. Which actually, away from home, most of the games Forest have played away from home. Yeah, and, apart from Southampton, where Forest were on the front foot straight away and dominated the game the first half, but at Anfield, at the Amex, and at Stamford Bridge, Forest made a point of let's stay in the game and let's be competitive, right? And then as the game wore on, it's almost as if the longer it went, the more Forest grew in confidence. And I think tomorrow night that might be the way Nuno and Rui Pedro set us up. But I just think a derby match Friday night under the lights, them in a good frame of mind, us in a good frame of mind. It's so difficult to split them. Yeah. So I'm going to go 1-1 draw.
Interesting, man. I'll tell you what, Rich, when you saw that winner going against Southampton, you must have thought, oh my God, it's Jordan Ayew scoring now. What's happening here? What am I doing?
Yeah. And Ramsdale should have saved it.
I did tell Leicester fans they'll appreciate him.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He works hard, man. He works hard. Listen, people, make sure you do me a favor. Don't go anywhere. Go and spam the chat on Saeed's watch along, man. Fed up Archer playing Manchester United. It's Jose Mourinho versus Man United. Saeed's going to be stressing. Go say damn Potts Ray. Shout out Jose Mourinho in his chat. Just go and give him a load of stick, man. So make sure you do that.
That guy's a basket case. I've watched him. I've never seen anybody more unhappy as a football fan ever. Nothing cheers him up.
Wins. That's all he does, man.
And I like watching LB.
You know what? I was coming Man U fan. Like, they keep saying, "Oh, they lose." What about Wayne David? Been there for the last 2 years. Stop whinging, man.
Look where Rich is. Look at Rich's class at the moment.
Yeah, you don't see Richie whinging. You don't see Richie or Emilio when Fulham lose. Stop whinging, Man U fans, man.
You know what's funny is
give me a couple months.
Man United apparently playing Mazraoui in the 10 as well. I don't know what's going on with Ten Hag. He obviously fancies.
The poor lad. He's just come back. He's come back from a heart issue. That poor lad. So fair play to him. Fair play to him.
Listen, big up, people. Make sure you go raid the chat and make sure you hit the like and the subscribe on this one. Go say Dan Potts sent me to Saeed and just put Jose Mourinho in the chat and you watch him just lose his head. In a bit, people, we're out of here. Take it easy. I will see you next time.
Up the Forest.